Tonight, 2 years since Hamas attacked Israel, a nation grieves, but also hopes for peace. The images of nearly 1,200 people who were killed were displayed today at the sites where the militants struck. One family, 3 of them were killed, 1 was taken hostage. Today, I speak to Eli Sharabi about his 491 days in captivity.
We were humiliated on a daily basis. Sometimes they eat us. But the hunger and the starvation was the worst thing.
This evening, as the sun set on Gaza, the bombs continued to explode. And despite pledges from Donald Trump about possible peace, Hamas says it won't release hostages until Israeli troops fully withdraw. Plus, the Prime Minister called them un-British, but pro-Palestinian protests did go ahead in the UK. Tonight, we'll hear from some of those who attended. That's all coming up on The World with me, Yalda Hakim. Good evening from Tel Aviv. I'm Yalda Hakim. Today, this country marked 2 years since the deadliest ever terror attack on its soil. Families mourned their loved ones. Others prayed for the return of hostages who have been held now for more than 700 days. I want to start tonight by reminding you about the moments that brought us to this point. Hamas rockets fired across the border on that October morning. Hundreds of men attacking Israelis in their homes, at their military posts, at a music festival. You remember this haunting image, hundreds of burnt-out cars. Some were lit on fire with passengers still inside. And you remember, too, the incessant Israeli bombardment that followed. Today, one man in Gaza said it was ordinary Palestinians, not Hamas, who have paid the price. After a second day of peace talks, the group's leaders are sticking to their demands. Israel must leave Gaza. Reconstruction must begin immediately. This won't be the swift deal that Donald Trump promised. We'll discuss the hopes for a ceasefire in a moment. But let's begin with Alex Rossi's report on how Israel marked its deadliest day.
It is a place of grief and memory. The photos of those murdered at the Nova Festival dot the area where the gatherers were dancing on the morning of the attack. For the families of those killed, the suffering's endless. Every day, they've had to relive the trauma. Mikhail Bitten's daughter died in the arms of her fiancé. They tried to escape as Hamas gunmen rampaged through the area.
After they found them together, dead, Eliran covered her. They were hugging each other and dead. And instead of taking them to the wedding, we took them to the cemetery together and we buried them together at home. At the new home. That's the love story.
Every picture here tells a story of a life cut short. 3 members of the Rahum family were killed that day, including 28-year-old Nitzan, who was 4 months pregnant.
Everything is more complex, and I don't really know how to feel about this day, because every day we feel the loss, the pain.
October the 7th is the deadliest day in the country's history, and one that's left deep scars that have not healed. This has been a painful day of remembrance for Israel and Israelis as they reflect on the lives destroyed in the October the 7th massacre and the sense of security that was shattered. But it's also the 2nd anniversary of the military campaign that followed, and the battle, the fighting inside Gaza, is still raging. We can see massive plumes of smoke on the horizon from explosions, and much of the enclave lies in ruins. The ferocity of Israel's response has been brutal. Gaza's been pounded for the last 24 months, leading to accusations that Israel is committing genocide. It denies those allegations, but the suffering of the population is clear. The conflict has been a catastrophe for the Palestinian people, whose history is already a story of sorrow and loss.
My whole life has changed. The war imposed on us is utterly unequal and unjust, with tons of explosives dropped on unarmed people with no means of defense. The media may frame it as a war against Hamas, but in truth, it is being waged against the Palestinian people.
Negotiations to end the war and bring back the hostages continue, but the consequences of October the 7th remain unresolved. It exposed deep fault lines and reshaped regional politics. 2 years on, the question is, will it open a path to peace or deepen the distrust that's kept this conflict burning for decades? Alex Rossi, Sky News, Southern Israel.
You were listening there to Alex Rossi's report. So it's been 2 years of utter bloodshed. Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs estimates that around 1,200 people were killed in the attacks on October the 7th, 2023. 48 hostages remain in Gaza. 20 of them are believed to still be alive. 67,173 people have been killed in Gaza since October the 7th. Those figures are according to the Gaza-run Ministry of Health. And as the sun set in Tel Aviv, a memorial began remembering those lives lost. Thousands are watching the event, which began with a moment of silence. A burnt-out vehicle recovered from the day of the attack is positioned on the stage, which is also adorned with flowers. The event has featured a number of musical performances.
אבל משהו בלב זועק חזק אל השמיים החיים מקום קטן עלוב ומשוגע מקום רחוק מקום לידי דאגה
Some of those musical performances taking place in the square just behind me. Well, today, in a bid to end the ongoing suffering, the first round of indirect talks between Israel and Hamas have been continuing in Egypt. In a rare address posted on Telegram, a Hamas spokesperson said any deal must ensure an end to the war and a full Israeli withdrawal from the Gaza Strip. Those conditions have never been accepted by Israel. Have a listen.
The movement's delegation participating in the current negotiations in Egypt seeks to overcome all obstacles to achieving an agreement that meets the aspirations of our people and our families in Gaza. Foremost among them, a permanent and comprehensive ceasefire, the complete withdrawal of the occupation army from all areas of the Gaza Strip, the unrestricted entry of humanitarian and relief aid, guaranteeing the relief of displaced people to their areas of residence, the immediate start of a comprehensive reconstruction process supervised by a Palestinian national technocratic body, and the conclusion of a fair prisoner exchange deal.
That was a Hamas spokesperson speaking there. So that would suggest this won't be a quick process. But President Trump has continued to insist that a deal is near. Have a listen.
We are very close to making a deal on the Middle East that will bring peace to the Middle East. After all of these years of millions and millions, tens of millions of people being killed, there's a chance to bring peace to the Middle East. Once this deal happens, if it does happen, look, they're in negotiations right now. We are going to do everything possible. We have a lot of power, and we're going to do everything possible to make sure everybody adheres to the deal.
That was President Trump speaking earlier. Let's just bring in our Middle East correspondent, Adam Parsons, who joins me live from Jerusalem, and our US correspondent, Mark Stone, who joins us from Washington. Good evening to you both. I'm going to come to you, Adam, first. I mean, just listening there to the Hamas spokesperson, sure, they've gotten themselves to Sharm el-Sheikh, but we always knew that there were certain sticking points that were red lines, and they were going to dig their heels in.
Yeah, and those red lines are going to have to bend on both sides, because there is simply at the moment no way that Hamas's version of what a deal looks like and Israel's version of what it looks like are compatible. And I think they both know that. That's why they have gone to Sharm el-Sheikh, is because in the background they know they're going to have to make concessions. That's why Khalil al-Hayya is there for Hamas. He is probably, you would consider now, the de facto leader of Hamas. That's why Ron Dermer is there for Israel. These are people who have power to make decisions. So while I think publicly they're talking of these maximalist positions, which they know are unacceptable to the other side, we can only assume that behind the scenes, these people are smart enough to realise that there is progress to make. And I think the smoke signals, the fact that the Qataris are sending their Prime Minister these talks, that Turkey is sending an extra delegation, that Steve Witkoff is coming out as well. Now, Mark will talk, of course, about the gravitational impact of President Trump on this. The simple fact that if the world's most powerful person says there's a deal to be done, then suddenly everyone starts thinking, well, maybe there is a deal to be done here. The one person we hadn't heard from up to this point was Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, who had sent his trusted Lieutenant Ron Dermer to negotiate in his position. But a little earlier, we did get something from Mr. Netanyahu, quite a long statement. Let me read to you what he has said. 2 years have passed since the October 7th attack, the horrific massacres of our brothers and sisters, residents of the Western Negev and participants in the Nubia Party. We paid a very painful price. Babies, children, adults and the elderly were murdered with shocking cruelty by Hamas terrorists. 251 men and women were kidnapped into the terror tunnels in the Gaza Strip. Citizens of Israel, we are in fateful days of decision. We will continue to work to achieve all the goals of the war, the return of all the kidnapped, the elimination of the Hamas regime, and the promise that Gaza will no longer pose a threat to Israel. Together we will stand, and together with God's help, we will win. So, what are the readings of the runes that you might take from that? Well, number one is that he is saying the return of the hostages, and there he is echoing the sentiments of the Israeli people, who in polling say that they want the war to end, and the number one reason they want it to end is to get the hostages back. Actually, in those polling, generally the suffering of the Gazans is down at number 3 on the list, behind the suffering of their own soldiers. But when Netanyahu talks about no more danger from Gaza and the destruction of Hamas, that's where he enters a sort of more grey area. Hamas is very unlikely to agree to its own wholesale obliteration from history. But what it will insist on is Palestinian control of the Gaza Strip, something else that Benjamin Netanyahu said that he wouldn't accept. And I think that could turn out to be the most difficult bit of mediation. I get the feeling that round the edges people feel that a deal can be done on demilitarization and return of the hostages. It's the long-term future that will be difficult, and that is difficult to simply kick into the long grass.
Yeah, absolutely, Adam. Let's bring in Mark to get the view from the United States. And it does appear, Mark, every time President Trump talks about this, he insists that a deal is very close. I mean, he's very much told Steve Witkoff, go and don't come back till you've got this deal in your hand.
Yeah, and Steve Witkoff arrived there in Sharm el-Sheikh, or is on the way there, may not quite have arrived yet, alongside Jared Kushner, who himself has been a key figure behind the scenes, both in the first Trump administration and in this one as well. Donald Trump, it was clear when he released that statement on Friday and alongside that social media post that he was taking what Hamas had said, their response to his Monday 20-point plan, Monday last week 20-point plan announced with Netanyahu. He was taking the Hamas response as a complete acceptance of that 20-point plan, when clearly it was not. I mean, it in black and white was not when Hamas responded. And as you've been describing, and from that statement by the Hamas official, clearly there are many hoops still to jump through. But Donald Trump is so keen to get to the end point that he is ignoring all of that. And as Adam said, Adam's point, everyone knows that there are going to be complications. You kind of wonder whether Donald Trump does know that or is willing to listen to that. Yes, the people underneath him, the people he has sent to Sharm el-Sheikh, will be fully aware of just how difficult this will be. But Donald Trump, I mean, he's a savvy man. He is a deal maker. He's a clever man. He's not necessarily a very knowledgeable man. Many people who know him well will say the same thing. And so his knowledge of the history that goes back, as he reminds us time and again, thousands of years, the complicated history of the Middle East, he's not necessarily got that knowledge in his head. So he doesn't really understand the complexities here. He just wants the deal to be done. Now, maybe the gravitational impact that Donald Trump has will achieve something, will get those hostages out, will get Palestinian prisoners released, and we'll get to a point where we are at the day after a ceasefire. But then what? Where does it go from then? I was looking back at some of my notes that I wrote around the time of October the 7th, 2 years ago. And we discussed then, and many of us did, that the attacks didn't come out of nowhere. They came out of a consistent undermining of the moderate Palestinians, whether they be in the West Bank or at one point in Gaza. And the consistent undermining of the moderate Palestinians did one clear thing. It gave power to the extremists, to Hamas, to the terrorists in Gaza, and the consequence was October the 7th. And the reason I bring that up now is because you do wonder that maybe we will get to a point where there is a ceasefire, where the hostages do come home. But the people who are not at the table at the moment in Sharm el-Sheikh are the moderate Palestinians. They're just not there. And until we're at a point where they are there, where they're part of the conversation, then the day after this war comes to an end is still right up in the air. No one quite knows where Gaza will go, where the Palestinian future is.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, Adam, thank you both so much for all of your analysis there. Well, it's the stories of those most directly impacted that highlight the pain of today. Eli Sharabi was taken hostage on October the 7th and spent nearly 500 days in captivity. His wife and 2 daughters were killed minutes after he was taken. He found out about their deaths only after he was released. He's written a book about his experience titled simply Hostage. He recounted to me the moment Hamas gunmen surrounded his house 2 years ago.
6:30 a.m. We got this alarm that wakes us up from bed. We pick up our daughters to the safe room with our dog. We've waited for the army to arrive. We waited the alarms will stop, and when we heard there's a possibility of terrorists of Hamas infiltrating our kibbutz, we were in shock from that, and we understood that this time it's not just missiles. And 4 hours later, they arrived to our house as well, and start to break things and shouting in Arabic and Hebrew, opened the safe room doors very easily, start to shoot in our safe room. We shouted them to stop, and immediately we said to them that Lian, Noya, and Dehel, my daughters, have British passports, and we were sure to protect them. We presume I will be kidnapped or they will kill me. but we just wanted to protect the girls.
Yeah, and then you were separated from your wife and children and taken into Gaza. Just talk me through that period, because as I said, you were there for roughly 500 days. You were moved from place to place. Just talk me through the conditions and what you went through.
We've been, I've been kidnapped to Gaza with one of Be'eri's cars. We arrived to the first stop in Gaza after 25 minutes of driving, slowly drive in towards Gaza. We stopped in a mosque. Some mob of civilians tried to lynch me. Men and kids were on top of me with their shoes, hitting me and shouted Allahu Akbar. Fortunately, the terrorists of Hamas took me away from them and took me to a house there, a Palestinian family house. I've been there for 52 days, chained by ropes in the beginning, in my hands, in my legs, and after that with iron chain. Asking permission for go to the bathroom and for eating and for speaking. And after 52 days, in the middle of the ceasefire, the first ceasefire, they took me to the tunnels. Again, inside a mosque, we've seen, we've been in a side room. They opened a door in the floor, and they took me into a darkness, 50 meters underground of tunnels, and just, hygienic is horrible. No running water. We just took a shower every 6 weeks with a half bucket of cold water. We were humiliated on a daily basis. Sometimes they hit us, but the hunger and the starvation was the worst thing.
Yeah, and I know that you lost a lot of weight, some 25 kilos in that period because of the lack of food. Initially, were you taken by yourself and then you were taken into the tunnels with other hostages?
Yes, I've met in the tunnels, I've met 6 Israeli guys that had been kidnapped from the Nova Festival. It was Ori Danino, Hirsch Goldberg, and Almog Sarusi. All of them been murdered later, 10 months later in other tunnel. And the other 3 I met, it was Elia Cohen, Or Levi, and Alon Oel. Unfortunately, in my deal, only Or Levi and Elia Cohen been released with me, and Alon Oel is still there.
And then how did you get the news that you were going to be released? How did they notify you? And just talk us through, because you didn't know what had happened to your wife, your children, and then you got the news that you were going to be part of a number of people coming out.
Yeah, it was February 1st, a week before my release. It was High Commander from Hamas arrived to our tunnel, opened a laptop and showed me 33 hostages that are going to be released, that I'm one of them. And he said to me that I'm going back home in a week. 2 days before my release, they announced me happily about that my brother Yossi been kidnapped as well on October 7, and he was murdered 100 days later. And the day of my release, on February 8th, after this horrible ceremony in Deir el-Balah, half an hour later, I understood that my wife Lian, my daughters Noya and Yael, been murdered 5 minutes after I was kidnapped from our house.
Eli, what message did you now want to pass to the world on this second anniversary of October the 7th?
Nobody can forget. I will not let anybody to forget what happened to Israel on October 7th, to my family, to my wife and my daughters. That this Hamas terrorist doesn't have any boundaries. They didn't care if they kill Israelis or British. And, and there's still 48 hostages remain in Gaza Strip, and we need to bring them all home.
In Gaza.
In Gaza. And, and only then Israel can start to heal from this trauma.
Well, Eli Sharabi was taken hostage on October the 7th and spent nearly 500 days in captivity. You're watching The World, still to come on the programme. The citizen journalists in Gaza using social media to tell their story to the world. We speak to one of them next.
We arrive, a secret hospital hidden in the Myanmar jungle, treating the victims of this bloody war. This is Myanmar today. Its military rulers don't want the world to see, but we have.
I fight for my own future. I fight for my generation's future.
This is an actual crime.
They don't care for that.
Myanmar army is only a couple of kilometers away. So this is a major humanitarian disaster.
I want to start the programme today with a name, a story that I can't get out of my head. The campaign has now started. This is your chance. Tell people this is the politics hub. It's not correct. The tax burden is projected to go up.
No, but
I'm not. This is my interview. Look, this is ridiculous.
No one does care about us.
I'm really interested in that. On the politics hub, we like to push the boundaries. He's got the majority. The question is, what is he going to do with it?
I witnessed the complete destruction of a place linked to my childhood memories.
This is insane.
I'm Yusra Al-Bagher, Sky's Africa correspondent based in Johannesburg, South Africa. I felt awe when we saw the mountain gorillas in Rwanda.
We call him the king of the jungle. This is the alpha silverback.
Sky News, get the full story first.
Welcome back to this special edition of The World. I'm here live in Tel Aviv, just by Hostage Square, on the second anniversary of the October 7 attacks on Israel by Hamas. My next guest has been documenting his life in Gaza and sharing it with the world. Uday Bashir was an IT student before the October 7 attacks. Now he helps run a community kitchen feeding displaced Palestinians. And I'm pleased to say he joins me live now from Gaza. Uday, thank you very much for joining us here on the program. It wasn't just for many people here in Israel that their lives changed after October 7. For Palestinians in Gaza, their lives too have changed forever. Just tell us about your life before October 7 and what you find yourself doing now.
Thanks, Yalda, for having me. I'm sure that 2 years is too long for someone and for everyone here in Gaza. Imagine that you can do so much in the 2 years. Maybe you can continue your studies. Maybe you can get well done in your career, in your job, and you can do so much. But in Gaza, everyone in Gaza here is trying to survive for the past 2 years now, and we're not doing anything but trying to find food, trying to secure a safe place and a good meal. So yeah, that's the suffering that we are
the situation. Yeah, the situation is so desperate, and the death toll we know is 67,000, although many say it could be more than that. Uday, you and your family have also been trying to help other Palestinians in Gaza by helping to feed them. Just talk us through that.
Well, we were one of the luckiest people to stay in our homes at the beginning of the war. So me and my friends and my family, we were sitting and seeing the suffering that the people are going through, and we thought what we can help to do. So we started by distributing clean water and drinkable water for the displaced families in the shelters, in the schools. And we started making food and making bread and distributing for everyone who is in need. And that was for maybe 10 months at the beginning.
I just need to know what live shots you guys are bringing in.
After that, we started working and in collaboration with the World Central Kitchen. We opened a community kitchen at our home, and we started making meals for thousands of people in the middle area of Gaza Strip.
And for you, it's been incredibly important to highlight the suffering of your people on social media. We've seen those images you've been posting regularly. Do you feel like the world has been listening?
I think 2 years is too long for someone to listen. I don't know what's taking too long to stop this madness from happening, and we have been posting, and we have been documenting, and we have been telling our stories to everyone in the world, and everyone is watching us being killed in 4K mode, and I think they are listening, but I don't know why is it no one can do anything to stop this. So yeah, 2 years is too long, and it's taking a lot from us.
Uday, are you and the people you're talking to in Gaza, are they hopeful that this time maybe there will be some kind of deal, that you will be able to see some kind of ceasefire and for aid to finally arrive in Gaza?
Well, I think yes. I think for the first time for a while now, lots of people are hopefully waiting for a ceasefire and waiting for it to come in. Maybe after the pushing from Trump himself, and other countries as well are pushing this through, and everyone is waiting so long for that moment, and we can't do anything but to wait now. But we're hoping to this to happen.
Uday, do you think that life can ever really go back to what it was before October 7, given the situation in Gaza, the hunger, the displacement, the destruction of Gaza? It looks completely apocalyptic when we look at the images.
Absolutely. I think everything can be rebuilt again. I think what has been demolished can be built again. But the hardest thing to do is to retrieve ourselves. I think mentally. I think so. There's like the children. Everyone in Gaza has been subjected to lots of traumas, lots of hard experiences, and I don't think that will be easy to recover from it. So, and this is like the most important thing to recover from. The buildings and the streets and everything can be rebuilt, but the human being, it's so hard to rebuild him again.
Yeah, well, we hope for better days for you and the people in Gaza and, of course, where we are here in Israel. Thank you so much, Uday, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Yalda, for having me. Thank you.
Well, as we've been saying, we've been marking and seeing people mark October 7, not just here in Tel Aviv and in Jerusalem, but we're also seeing commemorations around the world. The images that you're looking at right now are of Central Park on the first day of Sukkot, which is a week-long Jewish celebration of the traditional gathering of the harvest. So you're seeing people gathered there, and of course you're seeing them with those T-shirts saying bring the hostages back. Many people are hopeful that this might be the moment when hostages will be able to return. This war on Gaza will be able to come to an end. The images there are of New York City and of Central Park. Some members of the Jewish community gathered there in the same way. Here in Tel Aviv, we're seeing a concert this evening where thousands of people have come holding all sorts of banners calling for the hostages to be returned, calling for an end to the war in Gaza. Some expressing anger towards their government, others expressing support for the US President Donald Trump. You're looking there at images, live images of the scenes just a few minutes away from me at Hostage Square, where thousands of people have gathered to remember those hostages taken 2 years ago today. You're watching a special edition of The World. We've got lots more coming up as many grieve. The Prime Minister criticises those protesting in support of Palestinians.
I'm Dominic Waghorn, Sky's International Affairs Editor, covering a world that seems to be unravelling.
It's not his country, it's ours.
Sky News, the full story first, free wherever you get your news. It's half an hour now past the deadline that Hamas issued, and we've now seen a third barrage of rockets coming in.
Welcome back to this special edition of The World. I'm live currently in Tel Aviv, and I just want to show you the images just behind me. You can see thousands of people coming out of Hostages Square. They've been there throughout the day. They've been there for a concert to mark 2 years since that horrific, fateful day on October the 7th, which frankly changed the lives of so many of the people across this country. Many of the people you're seeing here are family members, friends of those hostages who were taken. There are others who are just supporting the cause here, calling on their Prime Minister, their government, to seal this deal now and bring their hostages home and bring an end to the war in Gaza. But you can see now people starting to leave. It's almost midnight here in Tel Aviv, and this concert has now come to an end, but they have been here for the bulk of the day to mark 2 years. And so much has changed across this entire region, not just for Israelis and Palestinians, but we've seen it, whether it has been in Lebanon, in Iran, in Syria. The impact has been felt right across the board. And of course, in Western capitals around the world as well, pro-Palestinian protesters in the UK have today defied the call of the Prime Minister for them to lay down their placards on the October 7th anniversary. Several protests were held across the country. Sky's communities correspondent Becky Johnson has been speaking to some of those who attended. Have a look.
October the 7th in London, a chant viewed by many as a highly offensive anti-Semitic call for the destruction of Israel. To these protesters, a legitimate call for a free Palestine. Demos went ahead despite the Prime Minister urging people not to take part on the anniversary of the Hamas attack that killed around 1,200 people. Keir Starmer said it was un-British to have so little respect.
The Prime Minister suggests it's un-British to be at this protest on October the 7th. Do you agree with him?
I don't agree with him because it's not un-British to exercise our right to protest, our freedom of expression.
Is this disrespectful, though, to people mourning the loss of life on October the 7th 2 years ago?
It's not disrespectful. It's not a denial of the Holocaust. It's not a denial of Jewish identity.
Do you condemn what Hamas did on October the 7th?
I don't care for that question.
This man appeared to be an organiser, but didn't want to give us his name.
Are you an organiser?
Thank you for asking. You want to know what I think?
Yeah.
I think the Prime Minister is disrespectful to the thousands of Palestinians who are killed every single day in Gaza. That's what I think.
We love Jewish people.
I love Jewish people.
We hate Zionists.
The war could end today, but Hamas have refused.
This Jewish man came here to share his anger. He told me he feels unsafe in London at the moment.
The war could stop. Un-British behaviour, as Keir Starmer very Britishly put it. Okay, these people should be under arrest for incitement. They could do this October 5th, October 6th, October 8th, October 9th. In fact, they probably are, and they pretty much have done every day, just as they did on October 7th, 2023. Okay, and to do this today is mere incitement. But Sky have also been inciting, okay, and you only have permission to publish this if you include that.
There was hostility towards the media on both sides.
Please don't get in the faces of protesters.
But they're on a public street in London.
It's common decency, don't get in their face.
So the Prime Minister says that this shows a lack of respect and is un-British. Do you agree with him?
I've said we're not going to give comment to Zionists.
You're disgusting.
I think condoning genocide is disgusting.
This video from North London was circulating on social media. A woman cutting down ribbons put up for the Israelis still being held hostage in Gaza.
These protests are now raising serious questions. Where is the line between legitimate demonstration over the war in Gaza and anti-Semitism? And what is acceptable on the streets of Britain?
If this is un-British, what can the British government do about it? Becky Johnson, Sky News, Central London.
You're watching The World. Next up on the programme, the leader of the opposition in Israel tells me families can't begin to heal until the war in Gaza ends.
I'm Cordelia Lynch, Sky's Asia correspondent, based here in Bangkok.
These slums, once gripped by fear and death.
There is far less bloodshed now, but it hasn't gone away.
Who's asking you to kill?
The police will give me the orders, and after I kill the target, I throw the gun away.
We try our best to uncover and unpick a fast-changing and deeply complex region.
These large waterways provided an excellent source of body disposal.
This is the Buriganga River, where victims who'd allegedly been shot dead were dumped. Sheikh Hasina, how confident are you that she will stand trial?
She will stand trial, there's no doubt about that.
We're going to take you to the very heart of a criminal network, going undercover inside Southeast Asia's scam centres for the very first time.
We won't have any problems with police, it's okay.
Just seen Imran Khan leave, and as we understand it, he's just been shot in the leg.
They have decided that the only way they'll allow elections is if I'm inside jail or killed.
Sky News get the full story first.
Chinese vessels start encircling the boat we're on, blocking its path.
The Chinese are now deploying water cannons, firing it directly towards our boat. We've discovered doctors across Delhi dishing out pills like this, claiming they will provide a lifelong cure for homosexuality.
Rohingya people fleeing an escalating civil war.
The situation here in Cox's is desperate. An already insecure place does feel a lot more precarious.
What might happen if Russia attacked the UK?
This is clearly an enormous show of force. It is definitely out of the ordinary.
We ran a war game with former ministers back in the hot seat.
Ben Wallace.
Amber Rudd.
Jack Straw.
It's the kind of war game that's genuinely tested inside government.
The Russians are signalling that there may be an attack.
Russia knows our weaknesses, but do you? I'm Deborah Haynes. From Sky News and Tortoise, this is The War Game. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
We arrive. A secret hospital hidden in the Myanmar jungle, treating the victims of this bloody war. This is Myanmar today. Its military rulers don't want the world to see, but we have.
I fight for my own future. I fight for my generation's future.
This is an actual crime.
They don't care for that.
Myanmar army is only a couple of kilometers away.
So this is a major humanitarian disaster.
I want to start the programme today with an aim, a story that I can't get out of my head. The campaign has now started. This is your chance. Tell people this is the politics hub. It's not correct. The tax burden is projected to go up.
No,
but I'm not. This is my interview. Look, this is ridiculous.
No one does care about us.
I'm really interested in that. On the politics hub, we like to push the boundaries. He's got the majority. The question is, what is he going to do with it?
Welcome back to this special edition of The World on the second anniversary of the October 7 attacks. We've been hearing from ordinary Israelis about their memories of that day, but I just wanted to get the perspective of a political leader. So I've been speaking to the leader of Israel's opposition, Yair Lapid. He shared his memories of that Saturday morning 2 years ago.
I woke up at 6:30 like everybody else from sirens and bombings, and my first thought was my daughter. My daughter was with us. She's an autistic young woman, and it was very hard to explain to her why is it that somebody wants to kill her and get her into the shelter. Security was, of course, not panicking but worried. And then I spoke with the Prime Minister. We've met around 4:30, and I told him at the time, I said, this is going to be long and terrible, and you need to get rid of the lunatics within your government, and we have to form a unity government. Unfortunately, he declined to do so, and I said to him, are we going to be supportive? And throughout the day, I was getting phone calls. I remember a Knesset member from my party, she called me, she lives in Sderot, behind the police station that was burned to the ground, and she was whispering. She said, there are terrorists outside my house, there are terrorists outside the house, I don't know what's going to happen, I don't know if I won't survive this, tell everybody I love them. So you get these kind of calls. I was glad, sort of, I don't know if it's the right word, to hear you reminding everybody that this is a war that was forced upon us. This is not something we wanted. This is something that you know, in this meeting with the Prime Minister, I was the first person to say what later became a cliche, that this is the worst day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust. And it is still going on because the hostages are not back.
You say in that moment, you told Benjamin Netanyahu, you need to get rid of these members of the far right who are part of your coalition government. In hindsight, do you think that things would have been fundamentally different in terms of how this war has been prosecuted over the course of the last 2 years?
Yeah, I don't want to go into details in this square, in this time, in this day of the year, but yes, of course, we could have, I believe that we could have done what is happening now in Egypt. A year ago or so, maybe in even better terms. What we need to do is stop the war, bring back the hostages. These are the two most important things. It's the healing process of Israel will not start before the hostages are back.
Are you speaking directly to the White House about this 20-point peace plan?
Yes, I'm speaking to the president's team, telling them that they need to know that Prime Minister Netanyahu has a security net from the opposition in order to do the deal, and there's no political obstacles whatsoever in doing this deal, and therefore it has to happen. These are people I've known for years, and they know I'm trustworthy on this one.
Are you optimistic that, because we're hearing a lot that both the Hamas side and Benjamin Netanyahu have said yes, but, and Donald Trump is only hearing the yes at this moment?
Well, I think his method of pushing everybody to the result, which is great, and I think President Trump understands that the most optimistic person in the process is also the most powerful one. And therefore it's the right method of approaching this, and I'm as supportive as you can to this the way he engages himself into this. We needed that.
We're still in the middle of this, and nothing has been finalized. The teams remain in Egypt to hash out, and at any point this could break down. If that happens, where will this leave this society, Palestinian society, the future of this region?
If it will succeed?
If it doesn't succeed?
If it doesn't succeed, then we are in the same horrible spot that we are now, which is a war that is going nowhere, hostages that are slowly dying, and of course the suffering in Gaza that everybody in his right mind cares about. I mean, one of the things I don't understand about our government is why is it that they don't saying, you know, we are sorry for every child who lost his life, their children should not die. So for everybody's sake, we pray for this to end.
And like I said, we're still in the middle of it, but if we think about, you know, Israel holding certain people accountable for the failings of October 7, Benjamin Netanyahu and others, do you think that time will come?
I think, yeah. I think after the hostages are back and the war is over, we will have to really look into what happened. Just wallowing into self-pity is not enough. I am optimistic about my country, about the future of my country. I think Israel is not a failed state. Israel is a strong, successful, smart state with a failed government, which is, I mean, there are other countries in the region. Lebanon is a good example, I assume, maybe Syria, in which if you feel that fundamentals are rotten in ways. Here, the fundamentals are great, just the government is problematic. So this you can replace in one day and start pushing the new vision of New Israel, and this is what we want to do.
That's Israel's opposition leader, Yair Lapid, speaking to me a little earlier in Hostage Square. Let's just show you some images from a short time ago where that memorial concert was being held just behind me. You can see the aerial shots there where thousands of people had gathered to mark 2 years since that horrific day, which frankly changed the lives of so many people here across Israel. This is a small nation. The pain of this has been felt deeply, and of course just a short stone throw away in Gaza, we've seen the horrors that have unfolded there. Let's show you images of Gaza from earlier today, where we know over the course of the last 2 years, 67,000 people have died. Both sides now want to see an end to this war, and we are seeing the leadership of both sides, from Hamas and the Israeli government, arrive in Egypt to try and find a way out of this with the pressure of President Trump. For now, good night.
I witnessed the complete destruction of a place linked to my childhood memories.
This is insane.
I'm Yusra Al-Bagher, Sky's Africa correspondent based in Johannesburg, South Africa. I felt awe when we saw the mountain gorillas in Rwanda.
We call him the king of the jungle. This is the alpha silverback.
Sky News, get the full story first.
I'm Dominic Waghorn, Sky's International Affairs Editor, covering a world that seems to be unravelling.
It's not his country, it's ours.
Sky News, the full story first, free wherever you get your news. It's half an hour now past the deadline that Hamas issued, and we've now seen a third barrage of rockets coming in.